Hey everybody, this is Vinny Ja with Oblation Comics, and I'm making a video. I thought it'd be cool to go over how I wrote this book, The Arbiter. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, I just want to direct your attention. This is my campaign that I've been working on called Arbiter, and it's a 22-page pulse-pounding comic book. If you like superheroes, if you like supernatural, and a ton of action, look no further than The Arbiter. This is something I've been working on for a while. I got 6 backers, so guys, thank you so much for backing my book. If this is interesting to you at all, please consider backing it at fundmycomic.com/arbiter. And yeah, I thought it'd be cool to go over how I wrote the comic book. And if you're interested, you might learn something on how to write comic books that you might not have known. So the first thing I did was I started with a summary. When I write, this is not the first script that I wrote. This is the first one that I'm trying to publish, but I've wrote many. The first thing I like to do is summarize the entire story arc. And so what I do is I usually work from the end to the beginning. So I have the ending in mind, I have the conclusion, and I start from there. And then I let the characters kind of find their way to that conclusion. Which sounds weird, right? Because I'm the one writing the story. But when you're writing characters, you're not inserting yourself into the characters, or at least I don't think you should. What you should do is find their voice, find who they are, and then let them make decisions based off of who they are, what they would say and what they wouldn't say, what they would do and what they wouldn't do, right? If you think of like Batman, Batman is not Superman, right? Superman is not Batman. They have different personalities. They have different ideas. They tackle situations differently, right? So the writers should not be inserting themselves, right? Like Mark Waid is the writer of Superman. He should not be writing what would Mark Waid do if he were Superman. He should be writing what Superman would do in this situation, right? So that's what I mean. I have the ending in mind. I orchestrated the plot, but then the characters, they make their own decisions and it works their way towards the plot. That's kind of just a mindset that I have when I write. And so the layout, so I had to do the whole summary of the first story arc, and then now it's the nitty-gritty stuff, page 1, right? I highlight page 1. This is a reminder for me. Every other page is what's called a page turner. So every odd page, the last thing on that page should be something compelling enough to compel the reader to flip the page. That's what a page turner is. And it doesn't have to be something, super bombastic, explosion. I mean, explosions are cool, but it could be a question, right? Someone knocking on the door, right? Who's knocking on the door? It'll flip the page, right? Just something that will intrigue the reader to turn the page. So that's a reminder for me. And then panel 1, right? This is all the stuff that's going to happen in this panel. I describe it for my artist, Danilo. It says, in an illegal underground fight club called The Pit, the crowd is surrounding 3 fighters and waving money while cheering. Locator caption. Again, this is what grounds the reader. This is so the reader is in a certain time, a certain place in the comic book. Caligo City, Holloway District. Crowd member. There's no way he can fight them at the same time. Crowd member 2. 2 against 1 isn't fair. My money's obviously on the brothers. As good as that kid has been, he's cooked. So now, I talk with my artist, Danilo. If there's not a name here, they're not an important character. Basically, they're just generic, normal-looking people. And that's kind of communicated here. They're not reoccurring, right? Crowd member 1 is not going to have a spin-off series. Panel 2, two muscular men wearing tank tops and shorts, fist-strapped, smirking. Again, they're not important characters. The point of this scene is really just to show off how good Chris is at fighting. Brother 1, this is your last chance to forfeit, kid. Brother 2, you had a good run, but someone with a lot of money needs you to lose. Save yourself some pain. Then this is Chris's voice. This is a caption, right? This is an internal monologue. 1 year, 3 months, 12 days, 14 hours. So he's counting to something, or he's counting from something, right? We don't know what that is yet. That's going to be revealed later on in the story. Excuse me. One thing that is important is in these descriptions, one action can only be told in one panel. Right? So I think there's one example here. Yes, panel 4. So this is the page turner panel, right? This is what my intention was, to compel the reader enough to flip the page. As both brothers attack Chris at the same time, Chris dodges both their attacks, airborne, leaving them wide open for a counterattack. All right, so there are technically 2 actions happening in this one panel, right? Both brothers are attacking Chris at the same time. That's one action. And then Chris dodges both their attacks. But this can be told in one panel, right? As seen here, right? They're both dodges. So normally you would only want to do one action per panel, unless you could do 2 at most, right? What you can't do is say, one brother attacks Chris dodges it, then the other brother goes and tries to kick him, and Chris blocks it, right? You can't tell that in one panel. So you want to break it up to where at most 2 actions can be told in one panel. So this is more internal dialogue right here, and this is basically, again, you can go in my comic to see how this all plays out. But then the artist, Danio, right, takes that script and formulates it into here. Now, there's certain times where I do the panel layout because there's specific areas in which it has to be laid out a certain way. But usually the artist will take that and do his magic. And then the second page is a splash page, right? So page 1 is the page turner. Page 2 is this awesome splash page where you flip over, and on the left side of the comic book, you see this flying knee to the kick. Flying knee to the kick. Flying knee to the face. And this is where also would be, Ablation Comics presents Arbiter, written by Vinny Ja, artist Danio. So that's the splash page. And then that's pretty much how I write my comics. Again, page 2, the splash page. Page 3. Now, this is just another thing that I like to do. I don't like too much exposition. So you'll notice that this is all just action. So if I go back to here, there's not much dialogue going on, right? He's yelling at him as he would in the ring. And then it just goes boom, 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 right? So quick panels to show that this is happening rapidly, quickly. No, oh, he kicked me. He's like, what? You kicked my brother? Just, this is supposed to happen fast. There's no time for talking, right? And so I like that. It's fast paced. It keeps the eye moving. And then, again, page turner here, got somebody observing everything from a higher level. And then change of scene. We're no longer in the pit. We're in this higher level with these rich-looking guys. Come back later. And then, again, back to where we are. This is a great shot, again, peering over from the top level. We see Chris is the victor. 2 guys knocked out. He climbed out of the pit. And then the story continues from there. So, yeah, that's basically how I write stories. I'm not big on exposition, so there isn't much of that in the comic. This is an action story, so it should be fast-paced. I think it should, be fun, and not cumbersome by too much dialogue. And so pacing is another thing that's really important. I'll transition now from the script to the idea of pacing. With pacing, if you've ever read comics books before, which if you're watching this video, I'm sure you have, I'm sure you've experienced this, where you'd be reading it, be exciting, and then you turn the page and it's just a wall of text. You're like, what just happened? And you can basically come to a halt. And then you kind of have to slug your way through if you want to get to the next scene or whatever. That sucks. I hate that. I don't want that in my comic book, especially if it's a action-packed, fast-paced comic book. Just walls of text are terrible. they're just the worst. So there's not that in here. I was very conscious of making it flow. Now there is obviously dialogue, but less is more when it comes to action-based stories. I mean, if this was a slice of life story, then you know what you're in for, right? A lot of coffee, a lot of dialogue. But this is a fighting story. This is about Chris finding out what he is, which I haven't alluded to yet, but he's an Arbiter, as the title suggests. This is minor spoilers, but this is basically the whole hook of the story. Is he has these supernatural powers that he doesn't understand, and he basically has to figure it out. The one person that was supposed to train him as a mentor disappears, and so he has to go figure out what's going on, where he went, and what his purpose is, what his powers are, and all that kind of stuff. So the reader is going on the journey with Chris, and I want it to be like that, so the reader doesn't know more than the main character knows. Again, that's the thing with exposition, is that you have this voice kind of telling you more than what the character knows. This is kind of more of a journey, at least in the first story arc. You're going on with the main character, so you can connect a little bit more with him, you can relate a little bit more with him, and it also, in my opinion, makes it more exciting. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next, neither does the main character, right? So yeah. And so the other question I get a lot is, why did I choose to do 22-page floppy comic as opposed to what most people do, is a graphic novel, 100 plus pages? And the reason is a few things. First, I'm thinking of the reader. I'm putting myself in the reader's shoes, and I'm thinking, okay, one, nobody knows who I am, right? I'm just starting my YouTube channel. I'm just starting this out. Nobody knows. I have no credits to my name. So making it 100 pages plus, you would have to be crazy to trust someone you don't know with that kind of time investment. And I wouldn't want to do that for someone that I don't know. And so 22 pages it's much less of a time commitment for a reader to say, hey, I like this or I don't. The second reason is, as a writer, it's actually a lot harder to write 22 pages as opposed to 100 plus pages. The reason being is that there's no room for rabbit trails. There's no room, like every page has to count. Every panel has to matter. There's no like throwaway panels. There's no throwaway pages. Like, it has to be concise. I have to be able to tell the story within 22 pages. Excuse me. And it actually makes you a better writer. So I wrote, to prepare myself for writing comic books, I wrote around 50 one-page stories. And so when I say one-page story, what I literally mean is a story that takes place within one page of a comic book. Unfortunately, I don't have any to show you, but basically you have to have a beginning, middle, and end, a climax, a conclusion, a resolution, all within one page. And I did that around 50 times to try to hone my craft on sequential art, storytelling. And it's a huge benefit. Like, if you are an aspiring writer, or even if you've been doing this for a long time, you can always get better. And doing one-page stories are really a great way to hone your skills and really refine the craft of writing. So you don't waste any dialogue, you don't waste any space, and yeah. So anyway, so 22 pages was more of a challenge for me to, again, tell a really cool story in a limited page count. And the last thing is it's cheaper, like for the consumer. Like, usually 100 plus pages, you're spending around like $30. This is my campaign now. $5 for a digital copy, $8 for the floppy. Plus, it's bagged and boarded, so you're not paying for your own bags and your own board. So, pretty cheap in comparison to like $30 for something that you don't know. So, I mean, that's the main reasons why I chose to do 22-page. And so 3 issues of these 22-page stories will be the ones for the first story arc. And I wanted it to be a shorter story arc. Again, I don't particularly like when stories drag on. So like the modern Marvel DC story arc is like 6+ issues. To me, that's too long. Now, not to say that I'll never do that, a longer story arc, but I prefer when they're, they pack a punch, they're shorter, and they have more depth to them. So yeah, anyway, those are my writing processes, some tips, kind of a messy video, but I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you like what you see, consider donating or contributing to my campaign, The Arbiter. I'm going to put a quick trailer at the end of this video, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.
Darkness creeping like a shadow, demons crawling from the gallows, spirits wander through the meadows. There's no light inside. Hear the battle and the distant screams of war. Oh, can you listen? Heavy chains, they are a prison. Are you free or a slave to the fight? Are you a lover or are you a liar? Are you a sinner or are you a fighter? Are you the hunted or are you the hunter? Are you a demon or are you a savior? Find yourself, don't be afraid, there's a light beyond the flames. Angels, they are calling your name as you run into the fight. Rise from the